Introduction to MongoDB. In this course, we will discuss the core concepts and features of MongoDB and also look at how to install on Linux and Windows. MongoDB is classified as an open source document database. You may already be familiar with the concept of open source software, but in case you are not, it means that the software can be downloaded and used freely. And as well, you can readily obtain copies of the sources code for inspection or even modification. A document database is a type of database that's classified as a NoSQL database. It's based on documents as the primary data type, where related bits of data aggregated together into one document. NoSQL defines a type of database which is different from traditional SQL databases. They don't store and relate data in the form of predefined tables that contain rows of data, where tables may be related to one another via primary or foreign keys, and they also do not require the use of SQL or structured query language to be able to interact with the data that's stored. Instead, Mongo uses a document data type model. As I mentioned, document is a single aggregate unit that brings together and holds all the info related to a particular array. In this case of MongoDB, these documents are stored using a JSON-like format, where JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. So now, looking closer at what a document store is all about, each record is a document, and as we mentioned, MongoDB documents are JSON-like in appearance. Looking at an example employee document, you can see it's made up of a series of field value pairs. We have some fields here: name, age, and employee type, and also values Amit 28 and Orly respectively. But you can imagine, in a real world document we might have many more fields, as many as make sense to define an employee based on our business requirement. Once you retrieve this particular document, you have all the information you need about this particular employee. The values we are looking at have uh, here are simple data types, being strings and numbers, but values can be much more complex. They can be things such as other documents, arrays, or even arrays of documents, meaning MongoDB is very flexible and robust in how data can be stored. So, what are some of the advantages to using the document approach? Firstly, and likely most important, is that we greatly reduce or even eliminate the need for expensive joins. If you are familiar with SQL databases, then you know that querying for and joining data from multiple tables can easily become demanding on processors and memory, especially as the amount of data and tables increases over the time. The document approach reduces the need for such joins, and as such reduces query time. Next, the document approach allows for a dynamic schema that is unstructured and can be charged, added to, or removed from on the fly. This is very unlike the SQL approach, where the schema must be defined and fixed up front before we begin adding data. Because document databases supports working with unstructured data on the fly by way of dynamic schemas. They tend to easily uh, support storing of new data and also sourcing of unstructured data in an efficient manner, which is a huge benefit for a modern day application that tend to deal with lots of data. The last advantage we will touch on is that with the document approach, document of the correspond more closely to the native data types. You would see in the programming language, where when documents are stored, they look very much like the data we work in application, meaning that as a developer we require less logic to go back and forth, converting between stored data and the actual objects we are working within the app. Thank you.